Joining me now is Dilyana Gaytandzhieva, a Bulgarian investigative journalist and Middle East correspondent. She's also the founder of Arms Watch, which is an independent investigative journalism platform that tracks weapons and documents war crimes. Dilyana, it's my pleasure to welcome you on the program. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Dilyana, you posted on Twitter that the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, they deleted from their website all these documents about 11 Pentagon-funded biolaboratories in Ukraine. You know, I've read your work, and I know you've covered this topic a lot. You've been on the ground reporting on it. Could you maybe tell us a bit more about these biolaboratories? What are they doing there?
The United States has funded at least 11 biolaboratories in Ukraine over the last years. And in addition to these 11 biolaboratories, the Pentagon has contracted American private company to rebuild and equip 2 new biolaboratories in Ukraine's capital, Kiev, and in Odessa. The end date of this contract is 2023. What is the purpose of the Pentagon funding such military program in Ukraine? Not only in Ukraine. The Pentagon has funded biolaboratories in 25 countries around the world, and the Pentagon has been operating such biolaboratories in 25 countries around the world. The sum that has been allocated so far is $2.5 billion. Why would the Pentagon spend or the US government spend $2.5 billion on the health of foreign citizens instead of on the health of its own citizens? This is a question that makes no sense. I have been investigating this topic for a long time, and I received documents from insiders, and these documents expose that or reveal that the United States has performed biological experiments on allied forces in Ukraine and in Georgia, the Republic of Georgia. In the documents about all these projects, it is written, all volunteer deaths will be promptly reported. There is no information as to what military practices would be performed that would lead to such deaths, but it is clearly stated, all volunteer deaths will be promptly reported. In addition to this, for me, very shocking information, insiders also leaked information about 248 death cases of people enrolled in one American program in Georgia. This was experimental treatment of people diagnosed with hepatitis C in Georgia. The leading laboratory in this project was the Lugar Center, which is the Pentagon-funded biolaboratory in Georgia's capital, Tbilisi. According to these documents, the cause of death in the majority of cases is indicated as unknown. So all these facts raise the question, what is the Pentagon doing? And why have so many deaths been indicated in the documents as unknown? What is all this about? These biolaboratories, their aim is to research bioagents. These are bioagents which could be used as, if developed, could be used as biological weapons. And officially, the Pentagon says that this is the opposite. They research such bioagents in order to be well prepared in case of bio threats. This is the official explanation. But why isn't the Pentagon why is the Pentagon funding such projects abroad, not on its own territory? Why in Ukraine? Why in Georgia? Why in Armenia or in Azerbaijan or Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan? All countries bordering on Russia. Or also the United States has funded biolaboratories, the Pentagon in particular, around other Pentagon rivals, China and Iran. We have a clear pattern here. All these biolaboratories are located around the Pentagon main rivals, Russia, China, and Iran.
Yeah, I mean that, you know, that speaks volumes on its own. It's quite shocking, and this is one of those stories where I was really intrigued by it, the level of detail also that you exposed, and of course this is something that, you know, I don't think we'll really hear on mainstream news. It's really I don't think it's an accident that, as you said, they're located right on the border of, you know, China, Russia, Iran. You don't need to be a genius to figure this one out. Really shocking stuff. And I also remember reading from your work that people living in the surrounding areas were also getting sick from this stuff.
Yes, I interviewed local people, and they told me about very scary details related to the existence of this biolaboratory, which was built inside the neighborhood where people live. Literally, the building of the laboratory, it is adjacent to the block of flats where people live. They also told me about death cases. I recorded their testimony, and it was quite shocking because when I asked the local authorities, they said there wasn't such cases, and locals, they told me that 2 Filipino workers inside the Luga Center, the Pentagon Biolaboratory, they died before their eyes, and the local people called the emergency services, but these Filipino workers died without even being able to explain what happened to them, and everything was covered up. This happened not just once. These local people told me that it happened twice, that these American contractors, they are Filipinos, but they worked under a contract with the Pentagon inside the Luga Center. So they had simple symptoms of poisoning twice. The second time, 2 of them died. So nobody knows what caused their death. And when you ask the Georgian authorities about this case, they say there isn't such case. Everything is covered up, everything. Also, another interesting detail is that the Pentagon scientists working inside this Luga Center, they have been accorded diplomatic immunity to research deadly viruses, bacteria, and toxin. Why do they need diplomatic immunity in the first place? They are not diplomats. However, they have the immunity that actually gives them the right to move freely around the country, to do whatever they want, and to enjoy diplomatic immunity against prosecution. In addition, Ukraine and Georgia has signed an agreement with the United States, and in these agreements signed by both countries, there are provisions which gives legal protection to all US government employees, including these military scientists. They can do whatever they want, and the host states cannot start legal proceedings against these military scientists in case that they cause death or injuries to the local population. They are indemnified for fatalities and injuries caused to the local population. Why is that text included in the agreements? If they were in Georgia and Ukraine and the other countries to help the local population, why can we see such provisions that they could potentially cause death and injuries to the local population? And it is written, rising out of activities under this agreement. It is very indicative of what is going on.
Yeah, it's extremely shady. I know that every country has scientific attachés, but this is really it's very clear what's going on. It actually reminds me, I think in Iran, for example, under the Shah, they also had a law that prohibited the state from prosecuting American soldiers and officials. So again, complete immunity from prosecution. It's it's really indicative of how these countries serve as vassal states of the U.S. Because you would never see that. You would never see immunity from prosecution in the U.S. for Georgian officials, for example, right? You would never see the other way around. It's only one way.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dilyana. Really great speaking with you, and I'm really happy that I finally got to have you on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.